resolutions are appropriate, necessary, and true, meaning long-lasting. Something that is going to be valuable not only for 1 year, not for 10 years, but for the rest of your life. So let's begin with the most practical, the most universal, and that is charity. We should all make the resolution that charity should become a daily event, not an occasion, not an emergency, not a mercy mission, but a daily habit. Every day, without fanfare, without making the headlines, we should always be thinking that there's a need. I have, more or less, I have what I need, but there are people who are much more needy, and I got to think about them too. So the habit of putting a few coins into a charity box, into a little bank, you know what I mean, into a piggy bank, and then when it's full, to give it to a charity. That way, charity becomes a daily event. That way, your hand gets into the habit of giving charity. And charity becomes a part of life. That would be wonderful for everybody without exception. Even children should be encouraged to get into the habit of putting a few coins into a tzedakah box. You should have a box in your room. You should have a charity box in your kitchen where people gather. It should be prominently displayed so that anybody who walks into the house immediately notices that charity is a very real part of life. That would be great. So for every weekday, we don't handle money on Shabbos, but for every weekday, charity should be maybe even the first thing we do in the morning. That would be a wonderful, useful, and eternal value. Somehow, even after Mashiach comes, we're going to be giving tzedakah. But it won't be for the hunger for food, it'll be for the hunger of wisdom, of the knowledge of God. But tzedakah created the world. It was with kindness that God created the world. And tzedakah has preserved the world and has preserved society. And rather than get government handouts, we should be the ones who are concerned for the poor, for the needy, for the less fortunate. Number 2, a resolution for women. Lighting the Shabbos candle at the right time on Friday afternoon, 18 minutes before sunset. Making the blessing and welcoming the Shabbos. One would think that if you welcome the Shabbos by lighting a candle and being so traditional, then you would have to observe the Shabbos strictly and orthodoxly. Otherwise, you're kind of being hypocritical. How do you light a Shabbos candle if you're not intending to observe the Shabbos? That's not necessarily a problem. Every mitzvah stands independent of any other mitzvah. It would be a terrible disaster if we had the attitude, unless I'm keeping all the commandments, I shouldn't keep any. No, that would really be a disaster. It would also be very condescending You see somebody doing a mitzvah and you disparage it because there are other mitzvahs that this person is not keeping. So you dismiss the mitzvah because the person is not perfect in their observance of the mitzvahs. That undermines the value and the beauty of the mitzvah. So you got two problems here. First, you're dismissing the person. If a person is not perfect, then he shouldn't try at all. What kind of statement is that about human beings? And secondly, what are you saying about mitzvahs? That unless you do 10, 1 is not valued, 2 is not valuable, 3 is not worth it. So, no conditions. Any mitzvah you're capable of performing, you do it. What about the rest? When you're capable of the rest, you'll do the rest. But don't hesitate to do something holy just because you're not holier. So, lighting the Shabbos candle, welcoming the Shabbos, marking the fact that Shabbos is different. Not because I treat it differently. No, Shabbos really is a different day. The universe is different on Shabbos than during the week. Not because you're observing the Shabbos, but because this is the day that God rests, which is very different than the 6 days in which God creates. So recognizing and marking the fact that today is different stands on its own. It's true by itself, whether you observe the Shabbos or not. But when you do light the candle, you're actually introducing a certain holiness into your home, onto your dining table, that wasn't there during the week. And if more and more people do this, there is that much more light, that much more godliness in the world. So a good resolution for women would be resolve to light the Shabbos candles at the right time on your dining room table so that all days are not the same. Like some things are sacred. We all know how terrible it is when is nothing sacred? So let's keep some things sacred. That would be a wonderful resolution. We're going to be lighting Shabbos candles after Mashiach comes. This is eternal. This is forever. It's not a self-improvement, psychological project. It's absolute goodness, which is eternal. Number 3, a very good resolution for men, Jewish men, would be to put on tefillin every day. Now, these resolutions, because they're so true, the values, the husband who encourages his wife to light the Shabbos candle, the parent who encourages a young girl to light the Shabbos candle, is participating in this resolution. So a man can make a resolution to encourage his wife and his daughters to light Shabbos candles. So it's not only for women. And the same is true with tefillin. Jewish men put on tefillin. Non-Jewish men don't. But if you can encourage a Jew to put on tefillin, then you're part of that resolution. So putting on tefillin every morning, again, weekday mornings, not on Shabbat, or any time during the day, actually, during daylight hours, is a very concrete way of solidifying your identity. It's the mitzvah that a bar mitzvah boy begins with. It is such a visual, such a tangible expression of this relationship that we have with God and this identity that we have as the light to the nations, the people of the book, the chosen people, whatever it is that makes Jews different. And of course, we are different. Ask any anti-Semite. Everybody knows we're different. We just haven't established exactly what that difference is. And we shouldn't leave it to people's imaginations. We should show what makes us different. So putting on tefillin every morning is a commitment that is so powerful because the tefillin are leather boxes with little scrolls of Torah chapters contained inside the box. One is worn on the head and one is worn on the arm facing the heart. If you're committing your mind and your heart to godly pursuits, meaning to fulfilling the purpose for which God created you, that, I mean, I don't have to embellish, and I don't even have to describe how powerful that is. When the mind and the heart are united in the commitment to our purpose, life is different. Everything is different. In addition to that, the custom, on top of the commandment, the custom is to wind the strap on the arm all the way down to your finger, which means the arm, which is the tool of action. So it's your mind, what you understand, what you think, your heart, what you feel, what you love, what you hate, and then your arm, which is what you do. The harmony between mind, heart, and action, it's indescribably powerful. So that would be a really good resolution. It's a bit expensive. You have to contact your Chabad house, your local Chabad house, and find out where you can get a pair of tefillin, and if they can subsidize it. Whatever it is, call the Chabad house and say, I want to put on tefillin every morning. Where do I get tefillin? That would be really awesome. And if you have a Jewish friend who hasn't thought about this or hasn't been encouraged, tell him, encourage him, and see if you can't make it happen. Number 4. Make a phone call. It's a form of charity, but it's got a life of its own. Make a phone call. Every day, twice a week, once a week. Make a phone call to somebody who needs some friendship, to somebody who feels alone or neglected, or just to somebody who happens to be going through a difficulty and needs a little encouragement. And just have a conversation. Don't try to solve their problems. Don't try to fix everything. Just show an interest. Talk nonsense, doesn't matter. But be consistent. You might just be saving a life. Either in the literal sense, or in the emotional sense, or in the familial sense. You might be saving a family. You never know how much good a little phone call can do. And this, of course, is for everybody, for all ages. It's universal. Number 5. If we don't fill our heads with good information, true information, uplifting information, then our heart is lost, doesn't know what to feel, doesn't know what it feels, is unsettled, mood swings, mood changes, simply because the mind is not feeding the heart a healthy diet. So we're very worried about our physical diets. We should make a resolution. I will read, I will study, and I will fill my mind with holy stuff, which is always healthy, with true stuff, which clears away the confusion. And that, of course, is Torah subjects. Any book of Torah you can get hold of. Any subject in Torah that you're interested in. Fill your mind. Get the books, have them in your house, and fill your mind. This will make you wiser. It'll give you answers for yourself, for others. Makes great conversation, meaningful conversation. Discussing something you read, something you learned in Torah. Even between husband and wife, it's got to bring an improvement, an ennoblement of their life together. So let's make that the 5th resolution. Educate. Educate yourself with the best, the healthiest, the most refined, and the truest information. Knowledge of Torah. And this is again universal. Men, women, children, Jews, non-Jews, doesn't matter. We all have a brain, and the brain is hungry. And you feed it junk food, well, the results are not so good. You feed it real information, things that have been true forever and will be true forever. This is healthy. This is good. This will encourage all sorts of other good resolutions in the course of the year. So those are the 5 suggestions to take advantage of the fact that for whatever reason, or however it started, there is this custom that on a new year you make resolutions. It's probably a Jewish origin, because on Rosh Hashana is a day of judgment where we promise God to do better. Well, that means making good resolutions. So it spilled over into the secular world that on the secular New Year, people make resolutions. But unfortunately, it's usually about going to the gym or losing weight or not spending so much money, or maybe spending more money. But these are temporary things. These are very limited, finite things. If you're going to make a resolution, go for the gold. Make the kind of resolutions that need to happen anyway, that are valuable in their own right, that are true forever. That's a real change. And as you do that yourself, you're changing the whole world. When you lose weight, the world is not better off. But when you do a mitzvah and bring some godliness into the world is better off. And one final thought. As you do a mitzvah, and bring godliness into your mind, into your heart, into your body, into your home, into the world. It is awesome to consider that as you do that, you are increasing holiness and godliness on every level of creation. Now think about this. There's heaven and there's earth. When we do a mitzvah, we bring God down to earth. But what about the seven heavens? Like the worlds where the heavens, where angels exist, where souls before they're born exist. When we do a mitzvah here on earth, the angels get holier. Now think about this. I go to a doctor and I say, I have a problem in my toe. The doctor examines me and says, you're not getting sufficient circulation to your toe. So we're going to do something to increase the circulation to your toe, and your toe will stop hurting. How do you increase circulation to the toe? Well, you got to bring more blood from the heart. The blood and the oxygen that it carries will circulate to your toe, and your toe will be healthy. But how does it get to the toe from the heart? It's got to go through your whole body. So every part of your body, which was healthy to begin with, will now get an increase of circulation. More life, more oxygen. So every part of the body on the way to the toe benefits when you bring circulation to the toe. When you bring godliness to the earth, it's got to go through all the heavens. It's got to come down the ladder that stands on earth and reaches into heaven. So all the rungs on that ladder are going to benefit from the mitzvah you did in order to bring God down to the earth on which the ladder stands. You, by doing a mitzvah, make the angels holier. You bring them more inspiration, more godly energy. That's pretty impressive. That's why human beings are greater than angels. So, good luck with your resolutions. Do all 5 if you can. Pick the one that is most likely to work for you. Once that becomes established in your life, you'll move on to the next one, or the next one will come naturally. But we got to make a change. Break in habit. That's what a New Year's resolution is. And that's what New Year is for. A new year, new possibilities. In the middle of the year, if we say, maybe you should try changing something. Oh, why all of a sudden? So there's a resistance. Why, I never did that before. Well, start. Why all of a sudden? But if it's a new year, then that question, that objection disappears. It's a new year. You're a year older. Shouldn't something change? Now it makes sense to bring a change, to make a change, and it's more likely to happen. So God certainly is interested. I was going to say God willing. God is very willing to have the world become more godly, but we should be willing, we should be inspired, we should be enthusiastic about bringing godliness down to earth through these resolutions. And if you have a better idea of another mitzvah that you're ready to do, by all means. These 5 are just suggestions. There are so many more good things that one might want to do. So, pick one of the 5, or Pick your favorite personal mitzvah, personally favorite mitzvah, and go for it. It's an opportunity. Don't miss it. We have a Sunday night program for VIPs that you might be interested in. It's informal, it's questions and answers, it's conversation. It's really relaxed, it's really pleasant, enjoyable, informative, and kind of community-like. It's a Sunday night program, there's a Wednesday morning program for the VIPs, and there's a Wednesday night program. All of it just conversation, casual, laid back, unscripted. So join us, take a look, click the link below and see which of the three suits you best, and join us for some enjoyable conversation.